Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Grand Theft Starship, written by Majestic Teach 6677. Trust me, Gedrick said to his companion, while snapping him on the arm with the tentacle. It'll be easy. I don't know, Martian responded. I've heard that humans get pretty pissy if you look at their ships wrong, and violent if you get a scratch on one. Are you sure you want to try and steal one? It's a fully functional starship with a jump drive, Gedrick responded, while casually scanning an eye stalk around to be sure nobody was listening. It's only bad news if we get caught. All we need to do is get into the ship and jump away. But what would be the payout? Might be hard to move, Martian responded carefully. Minimum of 200,000 credits, and up to 1 million. Gedrick said confidently, while turning an eye stalk to the compact Terran fighter sitting in the landing pad. I know someone who can move it to a sector far away from here where it will never be traced, and it isn't like we'd be overpaid. The end price to the buyer will be something like 4 to 5 million credits. But it looks old, his companion groused. Why in the stars would someone pay for a ship that old? Quality, Gedrick said, while raising 2 tentacles for emphasis. That ship is likely pre-contact, which was when the Terrans were making everything pretty much supernova-proof. It's why there are so many human traders out and about. Their ships outlast them. Everybody knows that, but do they really sell for so much on the black market? Barsham asked with confusion. Would you rather pay 5 million credits for a new Solarian Star Trekker, or that? Gedrick asked with a flourish of tentacles towards the human ship. Urshan took a moment to look at the Terran vessel and thought about the Star Trekkers. New, finicky, and with AI that will refuse to work if you speak to it harshly. They also had a well-known reputation for breaking down in very expensive ways the moment the 3 standardized cycle warranty ended. I see your point, he said finally. Given that choice, I'd gladly take this Terran vessel, even if someone beat on her for days with a steel pipe. Although I must ask, what's the deal with the dark red paint and the flames on the sides? Who cares about the decoration? Genrick said with irritation. I'm sure whoever takes the ship off their hands will get rid of it. All we need to know is that the idiot human pilot left the ship here with the main door wide open and the engines running. We have a narrow window of opportunity to grab it and go. Fine. We need to get off this rock before Kabara comes to collect our debt, or the police connect us to you-know-what, Rauschen said, with resignation in his voice. And this is too good an opportunity to pass up as long as this vessel is reasonably fueled. Relax, Genrick said quickly. I saw the human pay the refueler before they left. The tank should have a minimum of 1 jump, and that's all we need. All right, Bartian responded quietly. He then looked around the dock bay with one of his eye stalks. Seeing that the area was relatively clear, he flicked a tentacle at the human ship. Let's go. The coast is clear. The pair then started moving casually to the human vessel, though they wouldn't draw any attention. Frustratingly enough, a space dock worker looked up at them with concern, but Genra gave them a friendly wave of a tentacle and kept walking purposefully towards the human ship. The worker paused for a moment and seemed to be considering challenging the duo, but clearly decided against it and returned to their duties. It's remarkable how many sapiens just look away if you act like you belong, Genrick thought to himself. Thankfully, his partner didn't notice the attentiveness from the worker. Martian had a bad habit of opening his mouth and drawing attention. Good with technical stuff, shockingly bad with talking his way out of anything. If someone noticed him using a public restroom, he'd probably talk their vocal receptors off and make them suspicious of why he was using that particular public restroom. He didn't quite understand that a polite wave and keeping focused on where you were going sent a clearer message that you belong than trying to explain your presence. When they got to the bottom of the ramp to the human vessel, Genrick made a polite motion with his tentacles to allow Bartian to go up first. Again, it should look like 2 pleasant and polite sapiens who belong. They entered the ship without raising any alarm, although this was the part where the confidence and bluster would go away. They had never been on the ship and had no idea where to go. They were at a junction with corridors to the left, right, and one in front of them. They would need to choose a direction quickly, So Genrick started forward. "Not that way," Barshan hissed at him, while making an all-too-guilty-looking glance behind to see if anyone was watching. "For some reason, humans like to put their pilot sections at the front instead of in the center of the vessel, like most sapiens. Go left." Barshan then gave Genrick a completely unnecessary shove with his tentacles in the indicated direction. "If anybody's watching, that'll definitely broke the illusion of us belonging," Genrick thought to himself. He also resisted the urge to get into an argument with Barshan for shoving him. Having a public spat is the fastest way to draw attention if they didn't have it already. He simply made a placating wave of his tentacles and went down the corridor to the left. Ashore walked down the corridor, and it suddenly turned slightly diagonally to the right to match the shape of the outer hull. At the end of the corridor was a heavy bulkhead safety door. "Right, these are old Terran symbols, damn. It's in the script I've never seen before," Barshan said with a mild irritation after looking at the door control panel. "Green is good, if I remember correctly." He pressed a tentacle on the green button, and the door slid open smoothly, revealing ship's flight deck. "Thank the stars," Genrick said with relief as the two got their first glimpse inside. The cockpit was rather small, but comfortable. There was a flight chair at the main controls facing the front. Just behind was the navigation station, with a chair in front of it. It was a rather compact layout, but with more than enough room for two sapiens to move around each other without getting in the way of the other. Both seats were human standard, so the ride wouldn't be the most comfortable. But that would be a problem for the fence and the final buyer, not them. They only had to endure a one-way trip to get to the fence. A little pain would be a small price to pay, when they would get hundreds of thousands of credits for the vessel in just a day or two. Barshan strode confidently over to the pilot's chair and looked down at the main panel, and that's when his brain froze. This wasn't the galactic standard panel he expected. There was a vast array of switches, knobs, and small displays. No unified single-input device as required by every other sane species in the galaxy. "Well," Genrick asked, "what are you waiting for?" "The input panel isn't galactic standard," Barshan said quickly. "Is that a problem?" Genrick inquired with clear concern. "It shouldn't be. I can hardline my datapad into the service port and use it to control the vessel," Barsham answered gruffly. "It'll be annoying and clunky, but that's all. Worst case, we'll need to translate these controls. It can't be too far off from galactic standard. I found the fuel indicator, and if I'm reading it right, this thing is fully fueled. It'll be worth the hassle." While Genrick scrambled to find the data port, Barshan brought up his flight control program. The software was pirated and more than a few versions out of date, but a vessel this old shouldn't be running the latest firmware either. He was in the middle of setting things up when Genrick interrupted him. "I found a port here for the navigation system," he said excitedly, while pointing at one of the lower panels. "Perfect," Barshan replied, with a satisfied nod from an eye stalk. "There should be a port type printed above or below it. Let me know what it says, and I'll get my hardline adapter ready." "It's got strange symbols in Terran," Genrick whined. "This isn't your first bar match. Use your own datapad to translate it," Barshan snapped back as he pulled out his set of adapters. "Okay," Genrick said after a moment. "Yolnet identifies the port as a USB-G. Barshan's eye stalks blinked involuntarily. "What the hell is a USB-G? He blurted out. He knew every major type of data port, and nobody used USB anything. He didn't even know what that meant. "What do you mean by what the hell is a USB-G? I thought you were the professional with these things." Genrick snarled at his partner. "Calm down. We can do this," Barshan shot back. "All the ships are basically the same. I just need to learn the control layout. Pull up your translator and start converting the Terran symbols into standard." "This panel says landing. That's good, right?" Genrick asked hopefully. "Probably. What do the switches do?" Martian responded. "The first translates as strut. Then there's an open dot and a solid dot as the two options," Genrick said, with confusion before looking at Bersham. "What the hell does that mean? Are humans so arrogant that they want their ships to move and strut their stuff on landing?" "Think of the paint job this thing has. It's entirely possible," Bersham said, with a shrug of his tentacles. "Next one says lights on off," Genrick offered. "That's useless. Why would we care if we get the ticket for not using landing lights when we're stealing a ship?" Bersham growled. What's the next one say? As the two would-be thieves continued to try to figure out the controls, Adam Anderson got a ping from the main computer that someone was in the cockpit. He looked at the security feed, then down at his half-eaten lunch. Definitely more than enough time to enjoy lunch before heading to the police station, he commented quietly to himself as he took another bite of his perfectly cooked burger. It was hard to find a good human food in this part of the galaxy, and one must prioritize appropriately. A while later, Constable Kariric let his claw clunk down on the desk in irritation. It's not every day that a ship owner walks into the station and informs you that someone is trying to steal their vessel. But the situation was a little different. Mr. Anderson, this is the third time in the last Terran month, Constable Kariric said with irritation. It's beginning to look like entrapment. It's nothing of the sort, Adam responded. It's not like I'm inviting anyone inside my ship, and it's definitely not illegal to leave the door open to air things out. And please just call me Adam. We know each other well enough at this point. Sir, leaving the door wide open and the engine's active is asking for trouble, the constable grumbled while stabbing a claw at the security feed on the holoscreen. I believe every sapient race knows that leaving any ship or vehicle open and running often leads to an attempted theft. As for my ship, we both know that it's a classic sub 900, and if I shut down the engines, it takes 3 days to restart. Adam answered honestly. It's a common inertial drive design even today. Owners of the Vopoka-made vessel had the same issue, just with standard galactic controls. For the original control layout from 150 years ago, most human pilots can't even figure out how to fly my ship. And that justifies leaving the door wide open, the constable asked with a dry tone laced with irritation. Every time you land here, with the camera monitoring the cockpit. Oh, come on, Adam responded instantly. It's funny and helps you weed out the stupid criminals. Because I suppose we want only smart criminals, the constable responded dryly. Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.